Hey folks, it's a cold and windy Oregon day. I'm cozy up out here in my shop, getting ready to work on some bus projects. Yesterday we had a little bit of snow here. Just thankful to be inside. So first up, gonna work on my door, trying to identify where this whistle is coming from when I'm going down the road. One of my regular viewers suggested that I take some paper and cut it into strips and stick it in the door, and you can tug on these strips and see where it might be loose, or where there might be air getting by. This strip I'm able to tug on a little bit. The rest are fairly tight as you proceed up. So I'm going to shift this down a little bit here and see, if this section here is the suspect area. When I was going down the road, I used a rubber hose as a stethoscope, and I felt that the problem was coming from this area of the door. So this is where I'm focusing my efforts right now. Okay, I used the paper strips and I marked with tape here, kind of where it's pointing in, where I could tug on the paper. And then that led me to investigate further here. Something that I'd noticed before and sort of forgotten about was that gasket in this area is so close to the door that as I'm shutting the door, it's rolling over. I don't know if you can see it in there. So I can try and zoom this a little bit. See, it's catching and getting rolled inward. So it's not making a proper seal up against the outside of the door in this area. So I had noticed this before in the upper area. Sorry about all the jerky camera here. In this upper area, and I had tried to reduce the size of the rubber seal in that area by sort of, bringing some more of it in tight underneath here. And as you can see, it's quite a bit larger in this area. I've allowed, more of it to protrude in this area here. As you look at this diameter, it's larger here, and I've made it smaller up here. So what I can try and do, I guess, is try and shift this in a little bit, see if I can make this a little tighter up here, a little smaller, see if it'll clear. But it's pretty tight in this area, and I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. Also in this area of the door, in this area out here, there are rivets present in this section of the door that are not present elsewhere. That guy right in the middle of the camera. There's one right above him. And those are, your squeeze style pop rivets. Although they don't look like it from the outside of the door. those could certainly be affecting things as well. And I'm debating what to do about that. Not 100% sure what to do. See, they appear to be holding on the panel in this area. See, there's one right there. There's another one right there. So, I don't really want to grind on them. I could potentially cheat and add some strips of weather stripping in this area as I go up. I'm definitely thinking about doing something like that. So that's the scoop for the moment. Let's see what I can do here. Okay, so I shifted that rubber inboard quite a bit. Show that first. So if you were to examine like a before and after here, you would see that this rubber, this round section, is in tighter now than it was before. And when I shut the door, it's no longer getting rolled over. You can actually see the bead still there in the edge of the door, which was not the case before. And when I shut the door, you can see that it's in there nice and tight for the most part. Now, I redid the strip test and examined this really closely, and I can see now that there are still some gaps. Trying to get this up close to the bus so you can see it here. Trying. Everywhere there's a pink piece of tape, there is a small gap. Now those may be associated with rivets, but I can clearly see a gap here. You zoom this, see if I can get that to show up. So there is a very small gap in that area there. It does show up when I zoom. As I come down here, that does not pass the paper test. And it's not possible to see in this area. But the paper test failed in those three areas. So I'm going to go ahead and readjust the gasket just a little bit more, bring it out a bit, see if I can still keep it, provide a little more rubber basically in those areas without it rolling over, and we'll see if that helps. Okay, so I adjusted this outboard a little bit, and now it's catching again and getting rolled over. Let's see if I can move this to where you can see it. See it pulling away? So I went too far with it. So there's definitely a sweet spot here with this. So I've got to go back the other direction with it and probably just add some sealant in these areas where it was not tight enough. Just wouldn't take much, something fairly thin, you know, in those areas where I was having a problem before. So I'm gonna try and get it back where it was and do that. So I just remembered that I have a feeler gauge, and the feeler gauge is a lot better than trying to use pieces of paper for this because you can work it in. I'm using a 3 thou because it's got enough rigidity to it, but not fragile. And you know, anywhere where you go along here and that just kind of falls in there easy is obviously loose. So that's fairly tight right there. Right there is loose. But I can slide it around up and down. It's tight here. You know, if it doesn't want to move. See, there's just a hole there. And if it doesn't want to go in, then obviously it's, you know, tight. That's pretty tight. So I'm just sort of operating under the assumption that, you know, if 3 thou can easily push in there, then air can easily push in there. So this is all pretty loose right through here, this whole section right here. Then it gets tight again. So through here and right up in here need some extra attention. Well, just actually just right there. This problem spot I had before, I don't think is a problem now. So I think it's mostly just down in this area. This is that delicate painter's tape, that's why it's pink. It's not gonna, you know, damage the paint at all. So right about here, it transitions to being inboard. Oh yeah, there's like a mile there. I can see it now. That's a whole another problem area down there. So pretty much from here down is pretty loose. This whole section here. So from basically here down is a problem area as well. All right, so a little update on where I'm at here. I went to Home Depot and I got some of this stuff. It's pliable and really thin, and I was able to use it in between some of these rivets here to kind of fill in where it was having problems sealing up. In addition to adjusting this a few times, this P shape here, to get just the right amount so it wasn't rolling over. Down here, I brought quite a bit more of it out. And some of this is rolling over now, and I'm going to make some fine-tuning adjustments to it, bring it in so it's not rolling over. And I did have to put a fairly thick amount of that down in this area of the door on the inside edge because the gap was just huge. I tried using some of this backer rod, which is this, you know, it's foam diameter stuff. And I put it in behind the rubber here to just try and get it to, you know, stick out a bit more. And it really wasn't working too good. It was causing it to roll over. And I think I'm just going to get better results by doing it over here on the door like this. And just kind of fine-tuning the amount needed to fill the gap. I mean, I hate doing that. But I really don't have a better idea at this point. I fiddle around with it quite a bit. Most of the day, you know, well, not most, about half the day today. So I'm getting really close. I think this is going to be my final video on this subject. We'll find out when I go for my next test drive if I've successfully got this thing to stop whistling on me going down the road. So that's it for this evening. Please consider subscribing. I always appreciate new subscribers. I'm trying to get up over 1,000. I've got about 150 left to go. Appreciate it if you'd help with that. Thanks.